Miami tonight, baseball tonight. Marlins Park, roof shut, AC on. The Mets are here. This is a 4-game series that opened last night with a 1-run Mets win. So this would be game 2. Welcome inside as we get ready to go. Hi, everyone. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton. They had to drag us kicking and screaming out of the Clevelander last night. No Tommy Bahama shirts, no shorts. We're ready to go for baseball. And an email and Twitter Tuesday. It was a fun night last night.
We had a fun night. It was for a good cause, and from what I hear, everything went really well.
It did. We'll have some totals, and we'll have a lot of time to talk about it. Let's talk about tonight's game. The Marlins lost the game last night, but you watched Giancarlo Stanton hit last night. He's still locked in. It's not just a hit streak. It's a damage streak right now.
Yeah, damage control. But when Giancarlo gets on one of those rolls, pitchers beware. Look at what he's done during his hitting streak. Just a .625 average. Guys did that in Little League, slugging over 1,000. Couple of home runs. The RBIs, he has 4. So you know when he gets up to bat in a key situation, the Mets and any other team just aren't going to give him a whole lot to hit. We talked a little bit about it last night. You need to see Logan Morrison step up and have some good ABs.
Often we tell you it's a real contrast in terms of pitchers. Not in this one. These guys are very similar. 2 right-handers who will bring it, who will light up the radar gun. And it's our matchup tonight, our pitching matchup. It's brought to you by Coventry Healthcare of Florida. And it starts with Nathan Eovaldi for the Fish.
Couple of right-handers. They're each 23 years old. Eovaldi out of Texas has that electric arm. Fastball can get to 98. We've seen him do that. Also want to see him get a little more consistent with that breaking ball.
How about Zach Wheeler, who goes for the Mets?
Well, this is a young 23-year-old. He's out of Georgia. He was a high school player of the year. He's won 4 games, but he, too, can have a little trouble with command, has a good live fastball and breaking ball as well.
All right, get your emails, get your tweets ready. It's a Tuesday night. It's a tradition here on Marlins TV. And guess what? The top of the order, a little bit of a makeover. We'll talk about it when we return. Tweak at the top of the order. For that, let's go out to Craig and Jeff, guys.
All right, Rich, yes, the Marlins made a change. Danny Echeverria will move down a notch. Who's batting first, and how do you like the move?
Christian Yelich moves up to the leadoff spot, and it's kind of an odd thing to see with a guy that's got decent power like Christian Yelich move into the leadoff spot. But I think it's illustrated by last night. We saw him take an amazing at-bat against the Mets closer, Parnell, and worked a walk. And that's what you want your leadoff guy to do. You want him to see a lot of pitches, and you want him to get on base, and he's a high on-base percentage type guy.
So he might not be the prototypical leadoff guy. I know he has had a lot of leadoff at-bats in the minors. He doesn't look like a leadoff guy, though. But the Marlins feel like he could do a good job in the leadoff spot, and who knows?
I think so. I think his on-base percentage is going to be high, and he's going to steal some bases. He's not a base stealer, but he's a smart base runner. He's got good speed, so he will steal some bases as well.
All right, let's hear what he had to say, and manager Mike Redmond.
I don't mind it. It's something that I feel comfortable doing. It's nice to get on base, try and get something started real quick, start off the game. So it's something I really enjoy, and I'm looking forward to doing.
I see him as a leadoff guy. I think he could lead off. I think he could hit second. I think it just depends if down the road you get maybe a more of your prototypical leadoff type of hitter.
And when you get Echeverria down that number 2 spot, he might be seeing a little bit better pitches because of who's behind him, Giancarlo Stanton.
May play well for both guys. Should be fun to watch tonight, as will be Game 2 of this 4-game series. The Marlins have taken 8 of the 12 meetings so far, but 7 more to go against the Met club that has played very well since mid-June. We got the ball game coming up. Look to you on the post-game show, everybody.
Lock and load, the key words in that song, as the Marlins get set to take on the New York Mets. Hard-throwing right-handers are on the menu. The Fish and the Mets, and your emails. If you want to send an email, do it the old-fashioned way. Go to foxsportsflorida.com. Go to the Marlins page. Click on Game Connect, and then you'll find Ask the Broadcast and fire away. If you want to do it on Twitter, tweet us at Fox Marlins. Hashtag Twitter Tuesday. We'll get to as many as we can. We're glad you're with us tonight. The Marlins last night lost to the New York Mets by a score of 6-5. Bobby Parnell shut it down, and it was the bullpen of the Mets that was the difference in the ball game. And here are the Mets walking right into the station. And it's brought to you by JM Lexus. EY Jr.'s in left field. Daniel Murphy had big hits last night, drove in 3. David Wright has been hot all July. Marlon Bird's in right. He's having a nice season. Ike Davis back for the minor leagues at first. John Buck is the catcher. Juan Legatas in center field. Omar Quintanilla is at shortstop. Zach Wheeler hits 9th.
And there was a good look at Nathan Eovaldi, and you talked about it, Rich. He was on his game that last outing at Coors Field in Denver. 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, but then the rains came, an hour and 33-minute rain delay, and Eovaldi was not going to come back. But that was one of the better games he's thrown. 6 of his 7 starts this year, 6 innings or more. He's been very consistent.
So a deep breath, then Eovaldi goes after Eric Young. Penny brings you the first pitch. Young last night, couple hits. The top of the order was outstanding for the Mets last night. Young had a pair of hits. Murphy had a pair of hits, drove in 3. Together they scored 3 runs. And then David Wright busted out a couple hits, including an RBI double. E.Y. Jr. ready, and he takes the strike. Mets picking him up. He was with the Colorado Rockies. Of course, his father, a player for the Rockies, a coach now for the Arizona Diamondbacks. You saw E.Y. Sr. on that all-star laden coaching staff of Kirk Gibson's.
It's a nice opportunity for Eric Young Jr. He hit .316 last year in 98 games with the Rockies, but they have a pretty good outfield. So this is an opportunity for him to play all the time, and it gives the Mets a little speed at the top of the order.
And he never was a premium defender at second base. So you're right. The Mets, and Terry Collins likes to run. He likes to put the game in motion, and this guy definitely can do that. He was acquired from the Rockies in mid-June. Colin McHugh, right-handed pitcher, went to the Rockies.
Who I believe was going to get a start for the Rockies. They were having trouble when we were there with that number 5 spot in their rotation. Drew Pomeranz was struggling.
2-2 coming, and Young fights it off. There's Terry Collins, the Mets skipper. Collins in his 3rd year. This is his 9th year as a major league manager, and he's had success. He hasn't won a division, but he's had a bunch of second place finishes. 5 times he's guided a team to second place. 3 times he did it with Houston, and twice he did it with the Angels, back when they were the Anaheim Angels.
And the year before he got the job with the Mets, he was in the Mets organization as their director of player development. He worked with the teams in the minor leagues, so he knew a lot of the players in the organization.
Eric Young Jr. knows we have a lot more on Terry Collins, so he's just extending this at bat now to 8 pitches. Did you know Collins was a shortstop at Eastern Michigan, Tom?
Had Eric Young not fouled off that pitch, I wouldn't have known that.
And now Eovaldi fires up 97 miles an hour, but it's high and it's 3-2. This is exactly what you want your leadoff guy to do. You want to give everybody in the dugout, everybody in the order, a chance to see what Eovaldi's featuring, what's working, what's not. And so not only was he a shortstop at Eastern Michigan, Tom, he spent 10 years in the minor leagues as a player, did Terry Collins. Look at the Fox tracks there. Rand Eye Institute brings you Fox tracks.
Well, here's the situation, too. It doesn't matter how fast this fastball is. Eric Young Jr. and everybody in the ballpark knew he was going to get a fastball.
And so Young, outstanding at bat to open the game, an 11-pitch at bat. And he's aboard at first. Cleveland Clinic brings you the Marlins defense tonight.
And there it is with Yelich, Marisnick, and Stanton in the outfield. Lucas Echeverria on the left side. Solano, Logan Morrison second and first. And Jeff Mathis handling Nate Eovaldi.
Here's Daniel Murphy, who, when I told him that we always call him the pride of Jacksonville, he said, not me, Brett Myers is the pride of Jacksonville. And And I asked him, would you settle for the pride of Jacksonville University?
That's better, yeah.
And he said, no, that would be my brother. So a modest fella and a very good major league hitter. Always has solid numbers. Murphy hit .291 last year, .320 a couple years ago. He drove in 3 runs last night. Fly ball Yelich's way. And he's there and he makes the catch.
Murphy's going to be one of those guys, Rich, and he's getting close to it now. He's 28 years old. He's going to be one of those guys in a couple of years, maybe just a year, we'll say a professional hitter.
Yep, I told him he was a professional hitter, so
okay.
I've already dropped that on him. Our first email tonight, Tommy, is from Diane in Miami. Tommy and Rich, got to ask you, we haven't heard your take on Giancarlo Stanton's magazine shoot for ESPN The Bodies issue. I saw the pictures, and Diane says, wow. Also, is Chris Coghlan coming back? And good news, I spoke with Cogs the other day. The back injury that he suffered, he's been rehabbing it, and he's had a lot of progress in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And so Coghlan hopes that he'll get a chance to start playing some games, and before September, we'll be back.
Yeah, I think he's doing a few drills, so he's on the field, getting some activity in. That's good news for Chris Coghlan.
Young dives back, not a big lead.
Not a big lead. Remember, we've seen Eovaldi pick some runners off. He's very quick to first base, and he's also, for a guy who throws 97 and 98, he's pretty quick to the plate.
Eovaldi picked Michael Kadire off in his last start in Colorado. Wright cranks one to center. Marisnick back. Jake covers a lot of ground out there for a big man. Makes the catch. And there are 2 outs.
Also has a very good throwing arm. With 2 outs, you might think a little bit more of Eric Young Jr. stealing to get in scoring position for Marlon Byrd.
Anthony from Coral Springs has an email, speaking of Marlon Byrd. Tommy, last night I was ticked off that the Marlins could not get Byrd out. Well, Marlon Byrd had a hit last night. I think the guy that was the biggest issue was Daniel Murphy. Eovaldi a strike.
You're right about Eric Young. He does not have a very big lead at all.
Young has 21 stolen bases, been caught 8 times. He's got a very good base stealer as a first base coach down there for the Mets. Tom Goodwin. Goodwin, in his day as a Dodger, could really run. Emails and tweets are coming in. I'm on the email watch. Tommy's on the tweets. That one popped up. Eovaldi is actually calling for it, and Lucas says, get out of the way, I'll make it. And Lucas makes the catch. Eovaldi, after that long at bat by Young, goes through Murphy, Wright, and Byrd. Redmond's bunch goes at the Mets and tries to even this series. Marlins have had success against the Mets this year, 8-4 against them. Jam Lexus presents Christian Yelich in the leadoff spot. Flip-flops with NYN AT MIA. Giancarlo Stanton, Logan Morrison, Ed Lucas, Donovan Solano, Jake Marisnick in center, Jeff Mathis behind him, and Nathan Eovaldi hits ninth.
Making his first ever appearance against the Marlins is 6'4" right-hander Zach Wheeler. Big part of that rotation for the Mets, and talked about it a little bit, six-man rotation right now, just to be careful of the arms of Wheeler and Harvey. But first-round pick out of the Giants organization, traded for Carlos Beltran.
Yelich, who'd been leading off in the minor leagues, and first pitch of the night for Zach Wheeler is a fastball that misses away, and it's 1-0.
That's one thing about this role with Christian Yelich. He's not unfamiliar to leading off because he led off a good part of this year.
And I know he may not look the part of a leadoff guy, of a Michael Bourne or a Ben Revere. But, you know, if you're Yelich, if you're anybody, all you want is a guy that can get on base.
Like that? Almost.
That's just fouled. Yelich is on his way to second and is just fouled.
But it gives us a chance to throw out our first tweet of the night. For a minute, it looked like this ball was going to stay fair, but third base umpire Andy Fletcher right there with the call. No chalk. Guillermo with a good question, and it's fun to talk about. What is the future of the Marlins outfield? Very bright. Actually brighter than in some of the other areas. But you have Yelich who can play left. We've seen Marisnick in center, Stanton in right, and we know what Marcell Ozuna can do.
Line shot, well hit. Quintanilla is there, and Yelich lines out.
So it's one of those things that, well, there are four guys. There are only three spots in the outfield. Well, we know how things work. And you get Marcell Ozuna back healthy. You've got a proven product. You know what he can do. And you have the other three that are playing tonight, and they're all young.
Here is Echeverria. Every successful organization has competition. Competition for spots in the lineup. Very few go into spring training with, all right, we've got 8 guys, we're going to run out there every day. And so to have young talent that's competing for outfield spots is what you want. There's a pop-up. Ike Davis in foul territory, and he makes the catch. Let's take a look at the Mets defense, and it's brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic, Florida.
Well, you look in the left field, you see E. White Jr., Juan Lagares in center, Marlon Byrd, the veteran, is the right fielder, Wright and Quintanilla. Quintanilla made a big error last night. Daniel Murphy, Ike Davis on the right side, and there's an old friend, John Buck, behind the plate.
Here's Stanton now, is on a great run. And a fastball from Wheeler backs him off the plate. Stanton last night, 1 for 3. It was a laser double off the wall in center. Also walked a couple times, and that's his power numbers in this run. If you want to go 16 at bats, 10 for his last 16, 2 homers, 5 doubles. He's also taking his walks. He's not up there just swinging from his backside. That one, a broken bat to Quintanilla, throws him out. And Zach Wheeler goes 1, 2, 3 through the pitch in the first. And Nathan Eovaldi will try to answer Zach Wheeler. Uneventful first for Wheeler. Just an 11-pitch walk to Young. The only bump in the road in the first for Eovaldi.
How about this with Nathan Eovaldi in the first inning? Remember all those pitches, 11 pitches to retire Eric Young Jr. or before he walked him. He retired the next 3 hitters on 7 pitches. So it was a nice comeback.
Ricky and West Palm, can you guys ever answer a question of mine? Will the Marlins ever break out their orange caps? The strike. They wore a lot the red-orange jerseys on the last road trip, especially in Colorado.
I'm kind of with you, Ricky. I like the red-orange cap. Actually see a lot of those around town.
I'll tell you, the sweetest cap I saw, and I don't know if it was here or in a visiting ballpark, was a red-orange cap with the light blue that's in the Marlins uniform.
I think we saw that on the road somewhere.
A light blue bill. Ike Davis, John Buck, Juan Ligares, breaking ball. Popped foul and out of play. The Marlins still have, and I'm amazed that he's survived for almost a season and a half, actually over a season and a half, the mannequin in the clubhouse that is dressed with the Knights uniform, the ensemble. So as players come into the clubhouse, they walk by the mannequin, which on some days has a mustache.
And some days not.
And so they know to make sure that they're all dressed like everybody else. Davis fouls it back to the screen. Ike Davis has been in a season-long funk. Mets sent him down to AAA to try to get him out of it, and he did show a little pop in AAA, but coming back, he's hitting .232, a homer in 19 games since being recalled. Eovaldi spins it high, and Ike Davis is aboard. Couple leadoff walks for Eovaldi in this ball game. Any Wednesday Marlins game, that would be tomorrow. You can save up to 60% with the Chevron Crazy 8 ticket offer. Fill up at a participating Chevron and get $8 home run porch or $18 home plate box tickets. Visit your local Chevron or Marlins.com Chevron for details. Restrictions apply. Well, here is John Buck, who had an April to remember. Had some success in May, but has struggled in June, and July hasn't been a whole lot better. 53 runs driven in, 14 homers. 9 of those homers came in the season's first month.
Just 4 home runs for John Buck since May 5th. So, yeah, he had just a tremendous start. And he gets a chance to see 2 breaking balls in a row. First 2 pitches from Eovaldi.
We've had a few Rob Brantley questions. Bob in Fort Lauderdale. I guess it's safe to assume that Mathis is now the starting catcher. Where does this put Rob Brantley?
I think it puts Brantley right now, pen in hand, making notes in a learning capacity.
And Mike Redmond has said it this year that for Brantley to catch every day in the big leagues, he's got to improve his receiving skills. He's got to improve the game calling. And you know what? You can say that about every young catcher. I mean, there are very few Buster Posies that come right out of college or right into the minor leagues and are all-stars. Solano's turn. Nicely done from Echeverria. And the Marlins get a double play. John Buck rolls into a 6-4-3 double play.
So far, the pattern for Nate Eovaldi is to walk the leadoff hitter and then get a couple of quick outs. That ball kind of stayed down. Good pick by Echeverria. And then a nice turn by Donovan Solano, 6-4-3.
Rob Brantley just turned 24. So a college catcher. And he's in a great place. He's got Mike Redmond. He's got Rob Leary, who was Redmond's catching instructor when Red was with the Marlins. So if ever there's a spot and a place for him to learn right now, this is it.
And as we've talked about, he has Jeff Mathis, who learned from Mike Scioscia.
Solano with Ligares' speed didn't quite have the handle on it. That would have been a real tough play had he been able to grip it
and rip it. It's going to go as a base hit.
Yeah, this is one of those plays where everything has to be just perfect. He's got to pick it. He's got to transfer it to the throwing hand, get the good grip, and even then it's going to be a close play because of Lagares' speed. Never really got a good grip on the ball, and the infield base hit for Lagares.
Here's Quintanilla. Quintanilla at short.
I have a tweet. We'll try to get it in after this pitch to Quintanilla. Tweet is from Mike. And last night he said, I kept looking for the auction package date with Jordana. He would have happily bid on that.
There were many bidders, including Dan Levitard, who asked the price of a double date with the Fox Sports Florida girls.
Priceless.
Yeah.
Annalie and Jordana, they did a great job. They had to put up with Craig for 3.5 hours.
Now, Craig, there's an idea. I mean, we could do that. Maybe a double date with Craig and Frank. Some of the ladies out there could bid on that.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose money here.
Hey, Craig, by the way, every year you're so terrific as the ringleader of the auction. You did a great job on the big board and the little board, and the Fox Sports Florida girls were by your side the whole night.
They were great. We had a lot of fun up there, and it was nice to be all over the park with you guys out in the Clevelander.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Craig's a Burt Parks, Wink Martindale,
yes.
Alex Trebek, all rolled into one.
Hey, Bert Convey.
Bert Convey, that's a good one.
Let's go to the banana section.
3-1 to Quintanilla. Already we veered off course. With 2 outs, it's fouled back to the screen. It's an email and a Twitter Tuesday, so get your tweets in, get your emails in. We'll try to get as many of your messages as we can. Zach Wheeler's on deck.
Damian wants to know, do we see Henderson Alvarez in the opening day rotation next season? Right now, I would have to say yes. He's got a string of 13 consecutive shutout innings over his last 2 starts.
Fly ball left field. Yelich is there, and he makes the catch. And so Eovaldi, it hasn't been smooth, but 2 scoreless innings. Let's go places by AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability 1-800-PICK AT&T. Rethink possible by Just for Men Mustache and Beard, and by Checkers. Feast on.
feast on that. A great shot of downtown Miami, high above Marlins Park, where the Marlins and the Mets are going at it. This would be game 2. Logan Morrison, Ed Lucas, and Donovan Solano. Now, Tommy, I just had an email about the Marlins batting order. And it's from Roy in South Miami. Mike Redmond's lineup drives me nuts. When I see guys like Lucas, Polanco, and Solano batting 4th and 5th in the order, why doesn't he have Yelich, Stanton, and Morrison 3, 4, 5?
Well, then you have those other guys at the top of the order, so they got to bat somewhere.
And I think for Polanco and Solano, Mike Redmond's more comfortable with them middle to the back of the order than up front right now. Echeverria's been hot. I think, to answer your question, Roy, the Marlins lineup is a work in progress. As Tommy put it on the road trip, there are often nights where Mike Redmond, and tonight's one of those nights, where he has 3 number 2 hitters. Well, actually 4 number 2 hitters.
Yeah, with Yelich
in his lineup. Or you can even go 5 number 2 hitters. Yelich, Echeverria, who's in the 2 spot tonight. We're going to call him a number 2 hitter because he is a number 2 hitter tonight. And then Lucas and Solano. To short, Quintanilla throws him out. Hold that thought, Hunt. I'm legally obligated to say.
I have one for you.
This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins.
You can answer this one, Rich, I think, from Vicky. Vicky says, hi, guys. I'm an international fan from Lancashire, England. My question, do you think we'll ever see a Major League game played in the UK?
Well, you're going to see a Major League game played in Australia next year. A regular season game. The Dodgers and the Diamondbacks.
So the UK would be an easier trip.
Yeah, and having worked in the World Baseball Classic for 2 different tournaments, I can tell you that Major League Baseball would like to. The biggest challenge with the UK is a facility, is a baseball-ready facility.
Anytime a Major League game is played overseas, the facility has to be approved by Major League Baseball. Lights, grass, infield, everything has to be in order.
But yes, I would put money that in the next 5 years there will be a Major League Baseball game played in the UK. Amsterdam is a place that's got a shot at a Major League Baseball as well. Check swing. No, oh, that is a swing. First base umpire says yes, and down goes Ed Lucas.
So far, you have to like the way that Zach Wheeler has worked. Marlins hitters may not. He works quickly. His fastball has been live. He's been able to throw his breaking ball for strikes. He actually started the year 13 starts this year in Vegas and had a pretty good ERA, which is not an easy place to pitch.
3.72 and a 4-1 record. Solano rolls it out. Quintanilla fires to first, and Wheeler has breezed through his 2 innings to the 3rd. Wheeler and Eovaldi, Mets Marlins scoreless.
Craig?
Well, Rich, as you know, the Marlins for years have been enjoying something called dugout buddies with some area little leaguers, and this travel team's from the Plantation area. The Plantation Stars got a chance before the game to meet a lot of the Marlins, get some autographs. They took a picture with Hall of Famer Andre Dawson, among others. Got a chance to chat and get a great view of BP, and now they're enjoying the game. And joining us is their manager. Are you head coach or manager?
Head coach.
Head coach, but with a distinct accent, Rich and Tommy, because Craig Stoves is from the area we were just talking about, Australia.
Australia, that's me, yeah.
Now, you had a great background because you actually have a connection to the Marlins, and Fred Ferreira, who used to be one of the international scouts.
Correct. I work in international operations with Fred Ferreira, with the, well, actually first with the Expos and then with the Marlins. So a long history there with Fred, yes.
And then you moved here, and how's your ball club here?
And now I moved here. Now I'm a permanent resident here, and I got a great bunch of kids. They're outstanding ball players, and I'm teaching them the right way.
How about baseball in Australia? We just mentioned Major League Baseball will debut next year. Real games, open up the season in Australia. Are people excited in your country?
Yeah, baseball is growing bigger and bigger in Australia, and yes, the opening MLB opening game is in Australia, in Sydney this next year, 2014.
Did you play as a kid? How big is it there? We're okay.
I think we're okay, yeah.
Well, did you play as a kid there? Is it big?
I played as a young kid, and, you know, I played high school, and, you know, played in Australia, and then come over here. I played in the Australian Baseball League when that first started, and that got me introduced to Ferreira, and then I come over to the States and got into scouting, and I'm playing here, then scouting, obviously. Yeah, so a big connection.
All right, very good. And your club is a travel team. How are you doing so far in the season?
Actually, our season's going to be starting soon. We're going through a summer program, then we're going to go into our fall preseason, and then our regular season will start very soon.
All right, thanks a lot, Craig. Nice meeting with you.
Hey, thanks a lot.
All right, Dugout Buddies, a lot of fun to bring your Little League team, and we'll tell you more about that. You can go online, too, at marlins.com for more information. Guys?
Thanks, Craig. Fun to see the kids, Rich, down on the field and watching the Marlins take batting practice and then waiting for a few of the players to go over and interact with them. Their eyes just light up.
Eric Young is up right now. An 11-pitch at bat that ended in a walk back in the first. And Eovaldi throws a strike. Joe West is calling balls and strikes.
Eovaldi's going to have to get a little more efficient. First time through the order, 43 pitches. He had 3 3-ball counts, walked a couple, but gave up just the one hit.
Yeah, that pace would get him maybe 5 innings.
Yeah.
Bouncer, and Eovaldi bobbles, picks, fires the first in time. He has shown us he's a very good athlete around the mound. AT&T Uverse brings you our Twitter poll. And the poll is Steve Cishek, Jose Fernandez, co-National League Players of the Week. Pick one. Oh, come on. That's not fair. Hashtag fish closer, hashtag fish starter. So if you had to pick between the two. I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah, that's too tough to ask.
Because both of them were kind enough to work with us on the fantasy auction on the pledge packs. Out to center, Marisnick is there, and he makes the catch. So Eovaldi's first 1, 2, 3 innings.
and SAP for Coventry Healthcare of Florida.
Welcome back, Marlins Park. As the Marlins and the Mets meet on email and Twitter Tuesday, Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton, Craig Minervini, John Solser, our producer, Jim Holly, our director, Ken Lee, our graphics coordinator. Zach Wheeler has been very impressive. He gets Jake Marisnick, Jeff Mathis, and Nathan Eovaldi. Fastball right down the middle for Marisnick. Couple hits last night for Jake. We had an email just a while back from Austin in Coral Springs. Who will hit their first Major League home run first? Jake Marisnick or Christian Yelich? Who you got in that one? Marisnick sends that one into center field. Nagaris covers a lot of ground. He's there to make the catch.
I'm going to go Marisnick. Had a tweet from Christopher wanting to know any chance we see a lefty in the rotation soon, maybe an Adam Conley or a Brian Flynn. I would say not this year, but if you look maybe middle end of next year. And there was another tweet about Andrew Heaney, who was at Jupiter, but he was just promoted to Double-A. So there are 3 lefties to keep your eye on.
We talked about that in Colorado.
Throw in Justin Nicolino as well.
We talked about that in Colorado. The next wave of prospects for the Marlins, now that Marisnick and Yelich are here, are mostly arms, and a good deal of them are lefties.
The one righty is Anthony Desclafani, but the others lefties that you might want to keep your eye on.
Jeff Mathis after a high fastball, and he swings and misses. Zach Wheeler seemingly having no problems at all first time through the order, and now he gets Eovaldi, the 9th man, to come to the plate. He's retired all 8 so far.
Well, both Eovaldi and Wheeler have been pretty impressive. Wheeler's done a little faster, a little more efficient, but they both have terrific stuff.
Hard to know if when you get an email and it says Rome, Italy, if it's true or if the guy's in Rome, Georgia. But David says he's in Rome, Italy. He's got a series of questions. Who's the starting third baseman next year? Ed Lucas, Chris Cogley, Colin Moran. Ponder that as we go to break. I think he is in Italy, actually, huh? And there's zeros up on the scoreboard so far. And into the fourth we go. Mets and Marlins tomorrow night. Remember, it's a Wednesday night, so kids eat free on Wednesday nights at Marlins Park. All kids in attendance get a voucher for a free KM Beef Frank, a bag of Frito-Lay chips, a small Pepsi or Aquafina water. Go to marlins.com for more information. Marlins and Mets tomorrow night.
Well, how about the first 3 innings for Zach Wheeler? He's thrown 28 pitches, 24 for strikes.
David Wright. And Eovaldi fires at 96-mile-an-hour fastball for strike one. Marlon Byrd, Ike Davis will follow in the fourth. That's a 1-run win last night. Wright had a key hit in that one, the RBI double in the third. It's funny, early in the season when Giancarlo Stanton was struggling with the role, one of the first guys we went to ask, what's it like to hit in the order without protection in front or behind you, was David Wright. And he's kind of doing that this year. Drives that ball in the gap, and that one's going to get by Marisnick. It's going to go to the wall, right to second. Marisnick played it well. It caromed at an odd angle. And David Wright with his 23rd double of the season.
Boy, it's amazing. A couple of months left in the season. 44th extra base hit for David Wright. That's a career best for him. He has 6 triples this year as well.
And I know Daniel Murphy in front of him is a very good hitter, and Marlon Byrd behind him is having a very nice year. But what we're talking about is dangerous guys that can really hurt you. And Wright, when he first came up, he had reinforcements. He had help. He didn't have to carry the team. Liner to right. Stanton is over towards the line, has the catch. Wright tags on his way to third, and he's going to get there. And there's one out. Nice play by Stanton. Good heads up by Wright.
The thinking in David Wright on this play, if you're a base runner, as soon as you see the way that ball is slicing away from Stanton, you go back to tag up, because you know what, if he doesn't catch it, it gets by him and goes into the corner, and you can walk home. So once he sees Stanton go in that direction, he wants to make sure he can at least tag up, and he does, and gets over to third easily.
And that's going to bring the infield in, and Ike Davis into the box. So Wright's 90 feet away. The Mets trying to get on the board first. Davis walked back in the second. Everybody in. And Davis flips it foul and back into the seats.
Rich Debbie tweeting us, telling us that she and her son will be in Pittsburgh. She said, we'll see you in Pittsburgh. Find us. Well, you know how we can find you. Wear some Marlin stuff. And we'll find you in Pittsburgh.
One and one to Davis. Right, the Marlins road trip, bouncing around a variety of spots after this long homestand. Pittsburgh for 3, Atlanta for 3, Kansas City for 3. That starts a week from tonight in Pittsburgh. Breaking ball misses in. The Pirates and the Cardinals 1-1, bottom of the 11th. That's a doubleheader, and that's an enormous series, I think, for not only the Pirates, but the people of Pittsburgh who have filled the ballpark for that doubleheader. Swing and a miss. The breaking ball, and it's 3-2.
Last thing that Mike Davis thought he was going to get 3-1 was that breaking pitch. He had a fastball swing.
And the Pirates just walked off with a 2-1 win over the Cardinals in the first game. So Pittsburgh takes over first place with a win in the first game of that doubleheader. Davis, a soft pop-up. It'll stay on the infield. Solano is there, and he makes the catch. And there are 2 outs here in the top of the 4th.
Boy, those last 2 pitches were outstanding. Good fastball hitter. He knew he was facing a fastball pitcher, and he got 2 really good off-speed pitches.
John Buck bounds to a 6-4-3 double play back in the 2nd. Whatever issues David Wright had early in his career hitting without protection, he's figured it out because he's having a very nice year. Buck fouling out of play. I mean, when your slugging percentage is over 500, your on-base percentage is close to 400, and your batting average is over 300, that's a really nice year. And just imagine if he had a bopper behind him and the Mets had some more run producers in their lineup.
Well, David Wright, 30 years old, he still has some pretty good years ahead of him.
Eovaldi checks right at third. 1-1. Just missed. Checkers bringing you Fox Tracks. Joe West on that one. Or the scene in Pittsburgh was a madhouse. Pirates getting that first game of the doubleheader.
Well, they won the first game of the series last night. It looked like it's a packed house at PNC.
And they're in first place, but that could be for only a matter of hours. They're getting ready for game 2 now.
Raise to Jolly Roger.
You don't think there'll be some people dancing across the Clemente Bridge tonight?
Oh, yeah.
If they sweep that doubleheader? Breaking ball is up, and Buck walks. Wright is still at third. Mets and Marlins, we told you tomorrow night at 7. It starts with Marlins Live, driven by the South Florida Honda dealers. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine will be all dressed up and ready to go tomorrow night. Chuck Hernandez watching his young star. 2 very different starts here between Eovaldi and Zach Wheeler. Wheeler has a clean sheet. He's retired all 9 that he's faced. Eovaldi has just 1 1-2-3 inning. He's walked 3 and given up a couple of hits. As you pointed out, Tommy, his pitch count is enormous. 66 pitches for Eovaldi, and Wheeler has thrown only 28 pitches, and he's missed on only 4 of his pitches.
Yeah, it's incredible. The thing that helped Eovaldi a little bit, he had that 1-2-3 third inning.
Lagares doesn't like the call, and it counts 1-1.
Nathan Eovaldi has 8 career starts here at Marlins Park. He's just 2-4, but his ERA is 2.61 in his career here.
Well, Lagares extends that pitch count up to 68. Top 4. Mike Redmond not calling pitches. What he is calling is whether he wants to throw to first, whether he wants Jeff Mathis to throw through if Buck were to start. Drive into right center field. That's trouble. Marisnick on the run. Won't get it. It's in the gap. And it goes to the wall. Juan Lagares drives in 1. Wright has scored. Buck around third on his way home. And the throw is up the line. The Mets have the first 2 of the night. And a gapper to right center. 2 hits for Juan Lagares.
Lagares got that breaking ball in a nice hittable spot. Kind of rolls up to the plate, stays about belt high. And Lagares stayed back on it, let it get to him, and drove it into right center.
John Buck's reaction after racing home from first. Quintanilla will be intentionally walked. The Marlins will pitch to Wheeler. Wheeler's probably fine with that. He's got 2 runs to work with up on the board.
You know, Wheeler actually had some pretty good cuts. He's a left-handed hitter, and when he batted in the 3rd inning, he looked very comfortable up there. So what I'm saying is be careful.
So here comes Wheeler.
Got a tweet from Liam. Do you think Stanton could ever bat 4th? I think so. I think it depends on the development of other hitters around him. But without question, I think he could bat 4th.
You know, the trend in baseball has been to, especially if you don't have multiple boppers, to get your best bopper in the 3 spot, and that will buy him extra at bats as the season goes along. Soft fly ball. Yelich creeps in and he makes the catch. And Wheeler is out, but the Mets have jumped to a 2-0 lead. Dealer for great lease and finance deals on fuel-efficient Hondas. By Coventry Healthcare of Florida, lighting the way to better health. And by Metro PCS, unlimited 4G data, talk, and text on Metro PCS. Wireless for all. Emails and tweets. For emails, go to foxsportsflorida.com. Then get to the Marlins page. Once you're there, click on Game Connect. See that pop up? And then Ask the Broadcast is right under that picture. Click on that. You can send your email in or just tweet us at Fox Marlins. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton, Craig Minervini. Juan Leganes with a 2-run double for the Mets. And the Marlins trail 2-0 to Zach Wheeler, who's been perfect through 3 innings. Second time through now. Christian Yelich, Adeiny Echeverria, and GIANCARLO Stanton.
Well, we'll see who adjusts the best second time around.
Yelich hit the ball well. He probably had the best swing of any Marlin against Wheeler. Lined out to short. Email, Tommy, from Brazil, from Flavio. Marlin fan since 1997. I'm a subscriber of MLB.TV. And I watch you guys every day. I like the fact that Rich worked the World Baseball Classic and got to see the team from Brazil play. Managed by Barry Larkin, the Hall of Famer. That one fouled back. And I remember they had a terrific pitcher named Andre Rienzo. Tonight is a historic night for Brazilian baseball. We've been talking international baseball tonight. Rienzo just got called up by the White Sox. And as Flavio points out, he's starting against Cleveland
And he's facing tonight Jan Gomes. Gomes is the first Brazilian to get to the big leagues. Rienzo is the first Brazilian pitcher to get to the big leagues, and they're facing each other tonight.
And he's actually starting in place of Jake Peavy, who was the scheduled starter. A lot of rumors as to where Peavy might be traded, and was taken out of that start tonight.
On to first. Ike Davis is there, and he gets Yelich. Well, Flavio wants to know, what do you think this will have as far as an impact on Brazilian players? And would there be attention from Miami, since there's a huge Brazilian community in Miami?
I think, Rich, and I think we saw it with the influx of Japanese players. Once a player gets over here and has a little success and might be from a country where baseball isn't number one, all of a sudden there's a little more attention to baseball in that country.
Fastball, a strike. You would be amazed. I mean, after flying 23 hours from Miami to Fukuoka, Japan, there's a roller up the middle. Quintanilla fires it to first. And then bleary-eyed going down to the restaurant to have breakfast the next morning before a production meeting and meeting my partner Buck Martinez for breakfast. All of a sudden you look over, there's a table of scouts that you and I see at ballparks all across.
So it made you feel at home.
Yeah, it's like, what are you guys doing here?
And then you told them how you got there.
Yeah, Craig Shipley, a very, one of the best, if not the best, international scout, now works for the Diamondbacks, was there. And a lot of the scouts had a lot of great things to say about the Brazilian players. So to answer your question, Flavio, yeah, I think having two guys from Brazil face each other in a Major League game tonight is historic, certainly for Brazil. And it just reinforces what I saw over in Japan, in Fukuoka and Tokyo. Scouts know that there is talent in places like Brazil, in the Netherlands, in China. 3-0 to Stanton.
Might have time to get a quick tweet in here. Tweet from Vamos Pescados. I miss Ozuna's arm in the outfield. How did his surgery go? And do you think we'll see him back in the big leagues this year? Surgery went well. First of all, I think we all miss him. Surgery went well. We will not see him back this year because of that thumb surgery. But he will, and I'm sure, be a part of the Marlins in spring training. Tommy Jupiter next year.
Tommy, speaking of players, Anthony from Coral Springs wants to know, Tommy, liner, deep center, Lagares, track, wall, makes the catch. Boy, Morrison hit it a ton. Been a frustrating run for Morrison. He got into that one, hit it about 400 feet from home plate. Juan Lagares makes the catch, and the Mets stay on top.
Time now for the Just for Men Mustache and Beard Play Like a Champ profile. David Wright, career hits against the Marlins. On top of the list as far as the Mets go. Wright 192. Jose Reyes a distant second, 132. Look at Edgardo Alfonso making an appearance on the show. Eric Young Jr. stands in, third at bat for Young against Eovaldi. He kind of set the tone for the night with an 11-pitch walk in the first. Mets getting 2 runs in the fourth. A double by David Wright, a 2-out walk to John Buck, and a 2-run double by Juan Ligares. 1-0 is down low. All right, Anthony from Coral Springs sprung this email on us, Tommy. Tommy, addressed to you. When will fans see Zach Cox in the opening day lineup? Is it next season?
I think when you look at third base, and it's certainly been an issue this year, you would like to have a little power. And Zach Cox, in 61 games, he's hitting .292, but just 2 home runs and 20 RBIs. So I don't think we'll see him this year, and he'll be in the mix in competition, depending on what lies ahead at third base for the Marlins next year. And you know, obviously, the ultimate goal is to get Colin Moran there, who was their first-round draft pick this year out of North Carolina, but he needs to play a little bit.
Yeah, that didn't happen overnight. Yeah. Young has walked again, and Jacksonville's Daniel Murphy comes to play. We've had a lot of emails from Jacksonville tonight. Lee from Jacksonville poses this question: who would you take as your ace, Jose Fernandez, Zach Wheeler, or Matt Harvey? Also, you could please give a shout out to Cue Ball Billboards.
Well, you would have a great argument, first of all, with Harvey and Jose Fernandez. But in my opinion, and people will say, well, you're saying that because he pitches for the Marlins, but Jose's 20 and Harvey's 24. So who would I take? I'd take Jose Fernandez. We'll get a chance to see Matt Harvey again in the afternoon game Thursday.
Throw to first. Dan from Jacksonville sent us an email just talking about the rotation. Dan has seen all the young starters come up. Thinks that Yelich and Marisnick are superb, and that you can listen to him on Marlins Country Radio, Twitter, and Facebook. He's got his own radio show out of Jacksonville.
Tweet from Mr. Ian. Could be Mr. Ian, because there is an Ian.
He works for CBS.
Yeah, but I would go with Mr. Ian. Rich and Tommy, is there any trade value?
Runner goes, delayed steal, Eovaldi's throw, and he's in there.
That heads-up play we've seen over the last couple of series. We saw that delay steal of third by Russell Martin.
Here's a look.
A little shuffle. He takes off. That was little different than a pure delayed steal, because he took off as soon as Mathis threw the ball back to Eovaldi.
Once he saw Mathis start his throwing motion and Mathis was on his knees, Young took off.
I've seen that done more when the catcher throws the ball back to the pitcher that way. I've seen that done more second to third.
David Wright up with a runner in scoring position, and Eovaldi throws a strike, and it's 0-1.
So the question was, Rich, any trade value in Polanco or Pierre with the trading deadline coming up? And I would say probably not.
0-2 to right. Young is at second. And he fouls that one straight back. Terry Collins watching from the Mets dugout. TJ in Naples. Favorite ballpark or city to visit in the American League during interleague play? We always get that question about National League parks.
Now, do they mean all over or just this year?
We can do both. It'll be a long night.
I think this year, I would say, because I'm looking forward to going to Kansas City.
Yes, that's a great call. Because
We haven't been there since they've done some renovations.
Kansas City is one of the great ballparks in the American League, not because it's unique like Fenway. It's a lot like the American League version of Dodger Stadium.
That's a good call.
It's kept immaculate. The people there are terrific. It is a very good venue to watch a game. The seats are close. The upper deck is close. Wright swings and misses. And Evaldi gets a strikeout.
Nice slider. Very good slider by Nathan Evaldi.
All right, so that's your favorite American League park this year. What's your favorite American League park, period, if you had to pick from all the American League ballparks?
You'll think a little bit.
I mean, Boston is unique. Fenway is terrific. I mean, that's got such history. But there are some other ballparks. Baltimore, Camden Yards is about
Camden Yards is beautiful.
Good as it gets.
You and I haven't done a broadcast from New Yankee Stadium.
No, we haven't. Breaking ball misses in. I like Seattle a lot.
Seattle's absolutely gorgeous.
It is. So I would probably go Boston and then maybe Baltimore and then maybe Seattle.
That'd be a good top three.
And excluding the new Yankee Stadium, we haven't been there yet. Marlon Byrd's up. And by the way, Marlon Byrd is our Cholula Hot Sauce Spotlight player. He doesn't look like Mike Lowell, but he was born in Boynton Beach and raised a Dale Murphy fan. Played a couple years at Georgia Tech. And has played in a lot of different spots in the big leagues. A letter high strike from Evaldi. I mean, Bird broke in with the Phillies, 4 years there, 3 years in Texas. He had a nice run with Rudy Jaramillo as his hitting coach in Texas, and that they both ended up with the Cubs.
That's kind of where he matured as a hitter, was in Texas.
Bird pulls it foul. Last year he was in Boston for part of the season, 34 games, and then was suspended 50 games for violating Major League Baseball's performance-enhancing drug policy. Young, a big lead at second. 2-2 from Evaldi. Got him. Breaking ball. Strikes out Marlon Byrd. For 3 strikeouts in the inning. Halfway through this one, Mets have a 2-0 lead. a 2-0 lead, and this man is in control. Zach Wheeler has not given up a hit. In fact, Wheeler, the only blemish on his night was a 2-out walk to Giancarlo Stanton back in the 4th. So Miami's looking for a hit. Ed Lucas, Donovan Solano, and Jake Marisnick.
Yeah, the only Marlins base runner was the walk to Stanton last inning.
But with Matt Harvey and with Wheeler in this Mets rotation, they certainly have two young and very talented pieces that Sandy Alderson can build the ball club around. That fly ball down the right field line is out of play. And I think the Marlins can say the same. We said it last night that moving forward for both organizations is finding bats, finding offense, finding runs.
In the Marlins case, it's a little different than the Mets case. The Mets case is finding bats in the outfield. Marlins have that. Marlins looking for bats, third base, second base, first, depending on how Lomo continues on.
So what you're saying is if you were to meld the two together, you'd have a pretty good team offensively. You'd have the Mets infield with Wright at third, the Marlins outfield. And you'd have Craig Minervini manning the sidelines. Craig?
Thanks, Rich. Hey, it's going to be a fun weekend. Marlin fans, it's hard to believe. It's been 10 years since the World Championship team in 2003, and they will be honored here on Sunday afternoon. And the first 15,000 fans will get a Mike Lowell bobblehead. 17 Marlins to date from the team have confirmed. Mike Redmond told me today, guys, he is really looking forward to his mates. I said, is it hard to work and still have time for those guys? And now we'll have a good time meeting in my office with all his mates. And he said in particular, he's looking forward to seeing some of the guys who rode the bench with him, like Brian Banks, who he hasn't seen in about 10 years. And Mike Mordecai will be here, and the Stars will be here. Of course, Conine will be here. Pudge Rodriguez, Mike Lowell, Carl Pavano is confirmed. Alex Gonzalez. They said, what about Louis? And apparently Larry Beinfeld said, I'm going to go pick him up myself to try and get him here. So we'll see. It'll be fun for all of us to see those guys 10 years later as they are honored here on Sunday, the 10th anniversary game.
Yeah, another one of those guys that Red's looking forward to seeing it. He sat with a little bit on the bench. Andy Fox will be here too.
This is typical for Zach Wheeler tonight. A short pitch inning so far. He's thrown only 47 pitches, and he's got 2 outs in the 5th inning. He's been able to get Lucas, Solano, and now Marisnick for his second crack at the 23-year-old out of Smyrna, Georgia, who would go to high school in Dallas, Georgia. That's where the Giants plucked him. 9th overall, first round, back in 2009.
Last year in AA and AAA, won 12 games.
And no surprise he's in the big leagues. He pitched in that East Cobb summer team, which has produced an incredible amount of major league talent over the last 5 to 7 years. Three and 1, 2 outs. Marisnick, 4 hits, 26 at bats. Seems to have moved off the plate a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was a subtle move. It was a move that and you like this when a player just realizes what's been happening to him. He kind of did it on his own. Nothing major.
He's been pounded in with fastballs since he got to the big leagues. Fouls that one off. It's 3 and 2. It's foul back. You know, sometimes, Tommy, You tell your son something, or you tell your wife something, or actually it's the other way around. Your wife will tell you something, and you don't quite hear it.
You don't hear it the same way.
Right. Mike in Sunrise. Why does Tommy think Henderson Alvarez will be the opening day starter over Jose Fernandez?
I didn't say that.
That's right. Tommy did not. I'm here to witness it.
We were talking about would he be in the starting 5 next year?
Yes. Would he be in the opening day rotation was the question.
And yes, he will.
So, Mike in Sunrise, we're with you. It happens to us on a daily basis. Marisnick with a walk, and that'll bring Mathis up. And just the second base runner of the night against Zach Wheeler.
Still just 56 pitches, and he's an out away from getting through the 5th inning.
Ken in Key Largo. Rich and Tommy had a great time at the Cleveland last night. Great place to be at a game. Had a fun time with all the food and drinks. Hope you enjoyed the chocolates.
Oh, yeah.
Captain Ken and the Key Largo contingent.
Yeah, we had a great time. I know if the captain is who I think I spoke to, he really wanted to do something next year for the auction. Something down in the Keys. That'd be a nice package.
Stephen Ames getting loose in the Marlins pen. Wheeler's out in front of Mathis. 0-2. Well, Captain, just for you in Key Largo, here's a little recap of the night last night. Well, those were all the cool things that we started with. Those were our good friends. Craig had some friends, and Jose Fernandez stopped in to see everybody. We raised an awful lot of money, over $85,000. We got to throw water on the sea creatures. That was big. Here's the 0-2. And Mathis swings and misses and strikes out. And Zach Wheeler is cooking here tonight against the Marlins. 5 no-hit innings for the Mets right-hander. Tonight in Miami, it has been all Mets. It has been all Zach Wheeler. Along with Jeff Conine, Craig Minervini, Tommy Hutton, Rich Waltz with you tonight on a Tuesday night, game 2 of a 4-game set, Marlins and Mets. Just 3 hits for the Mets. The Marlins without a run, without a hit. Ike Davis, John Buck, Juan Lagares, who are in the middle of the 2-run fourth for New York. And that's the difference in the ball game right now.
Kind of amazing. Nate Eovaldi went the first 4 innings without a strikeout, and then after the leadoff walk, Derek Young Jr. in the 5th inning, he struck out the next 3 hitters. And what he did, all of a sudden the slider came alive, and that pitch was very effective getting the strikeouts.
Fastball foul back. Eovaldi's line is a bit messy. 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 5 walks, 3 strikeouts. 1 of the 5 walks was the intentional walk to Quintanilla. I wonder, now that WHIP has become a stat that is used by announcers, players are very much aware of their WHIP and where it ranks in baseball. To first, and Morrison is there and he gets the out. I wonder if in arbitration a player's agent will sit down and say, well, here are his numbers, here are these numbers, and the team will say, yeah, but his WHIP was this, and then the agent will counter with, yes, but a dozen of those walks were intentional walks.
I think
and the arbiter will look at him and say, what's WHIP?
Hey, yeah, what's WHIP? Yeah, he better know what WHIP is. Walks and hits, the innings pitch. It's a good measure. I think at times when you look at a pitcher's numbers, I think you have to look at overall. You have to look at a lot of things.
I think that's true about any player in terms of statistics. You have to look at the body of work.
I think one of the, and you and I have talked about this a lot. For a closer, obviously saves, but I think for a middle reliever, guys who come in the game 6th, 7th inning, 8th inning, one of the most important lines is inherited runners. How many inherited runners score?
Because you could have a great ERA, and yet you give up runs that aren't yours.
Yes. So I think for a reliever, that's very important.
And Buck fouls it into the glove of Mathis. A strikeout for Eovaldi. All of a sudden, the strikeout is coming around for Eovaldi.
Kind of interesting, too, when this game started. Each pitcher had 7 starts. Very similar in innings pitched. Earned runs. Look at 16. WHIP, identical. So when they came into this game, these two guys, of course, the 7 starts for Wheeler were his first major league starts. For Eovaldi, a little bit more, but those are their 7 starts this year.
Yeah, this is Eovaldi's 3rd major league season. Parts of 2 seasons with the Dodgers. Lagares, an infield hit in the 2nd. Off of Eovaldi, and it goes right in through the vacated spot at 2nd. Picked up by Stanton.
Just can't retire Juan Lagares. That's his 3rd hit tonight. Got the shoe. Ball was going up the middle, and that's where Solano was going. And then all of a sudden, deflected off the shoe. Eovaldi appears okay. Boy, things are going to be hopping at Dodger Stadium tonight. Big series.
Is it Nancy B. bobblehead night?
No, the Yankees are in town. Andy Pettitte and Zach Greinke in a game tonight at Dodger Stadium.
Dodgers find themselves 8 over. And a team that wallowed near the bottom of the standings in April and May now sits atop the West with a 2.5 game lead over Arizona.
They got a tweet from Tony. I like this one because we were talking about this the other night. People always like to make comparisons. His thoughts, Tony's thoughts, says, I see a lot of Sean Green and Christian Yelich. Remember, we were coming up with different players. It's a pretty good comparison, Tony. Margate, Florida.
Quintanilla now.
Mike tweeted, I didn't hear Dontrell's name announced in the group. The club, I know, has gotten a hold of Dontrell. Dontrell pitching, I believe, in an independent ball, and I would imagine trying to see if he can get away.
Was it the Long Island Ducks?
Yeah.
Snap throw by Mathis just late. Not by much.
Boy, that was close.
Flavio is still watching in Brazil, Tommy.
Right?
Flavio checks in back from Brazil. Update on the Brazilian matchup. Jan Gomes.
He's not pitching.
Well, Andre Rienzo did face Gomes. Gomes got a hit the first time he faced him.
Okay.
How many innings did you got the box score there? I think Rienzo opened the game by pitching well.
Yeah, it's a 3-3 tie. In the fifth inning, we'll see what Rienzo did.
We got to keep our fan base in Brazil happy.
5 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, no earned runs.
All right.
3 walks, 4 strikeouts. So the ERA still 0.
One, two. Still 1-2.
And the 42-year-old for the Indians in there, Jason Giambi. He became the oldest to ever hit a walk-off home run last night. A little bit older than Hank Aaron and just a little bit older than Tony Perez.
Indians have a very interesting roster. They turned the roster over. They still have some homegrown guys there. But adding a Swisher and a Giambi.
They're hanging around American League Central.
Michael Bourne. Pop up, third base side. And it's out of play. Here tonight, if you're just happening by, this matchup between hard-throwing right-handers, as you see the lefty Dan Jennings in the bullpen, has gone decidedly the way of the Mets right now on the mound. Zach Wheeler has thrown just 60 pitches, and in 5 innings, he's twirling a no-hitter right now. Evaldi at 110 pitches. This is his season high as far as pitch count. Morrison knocks it down, picks it up, steps on the bag, and the inning is over. Evaldi gets through 6. The Marlins looking for their first hit, trailing the Mets 2-0.
in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rich. Juan Pierre getting set to pinch hit here, known for his stolen bases in his career, but he may have been robbed last night in a key spot in the ballgame as the Marlins were rallying back from a 6-5 game in the 9th inning. Pierre stole second base for his 19th steal. But watch the jump he gets here. Remember, it's a one-run game. He steals third base. The Mets did not attempt to throw. You see David Wright did not even cover the bag, and it was ruled defensive indifference by the official score. The Marlins asked him to look at that after the game. He did not change his ruling. The Marlins told us they will send it to Major League Baseball office, where it is expected by many that they will reverse that call and give him a stolen base, which would be number 20 and would be his 13th consecutive year of 20 steals. But this is a rule that's normally in place when there's a lead of more than one run. It's covered by Rule 10.07G, and normally it's exactly what it says, indifference. But in this spot, guys, there's no reason to be indifferent to a runner where a wild pitch could then score you. We think that JP was kind of robbed of this call. We'll see if Major League Baseball overturns it. I asked JP about it today. He said, come on. But we lost the game, guys.
Liner to left. Young is back, and he's there, and he makes the catch. A no-hitter going on here in Miami. Let's go to Los Angeles for a Fox Sports 1 game break. Thank you, Molly. The Braves rallying in that ball game. Atlanta, the leaders in the East.
Yeah, a very comfortable lead for the Atlanta Braves.
Braves a 9-game lead going into play tonight over the Washington Nationals. Here tonight, Zach Wheeler has not given up a hit, and he's got an out in the bottom of the 6th inning. Christian Yelich and Adeiny Echeverria also coming up after Juan Pierre has lined out. Daniel Murphy makes the catch, and there are 2 outs. You get the Duffy's deal from Duffy's Sports Grill. Catch a ride to the game for $40. Get a lower level ticket, round trip motor coach transportation from Duffy's, and a $10 Duffy's gift card. The next Duffy's deal game is coming up Saturday the 3rd against the Indians. Go to Marlins.com for more details. So the Marlins don't have a hit. Zach Wheeler has been splendid so far. Echeverria has popped out and bounced out. And the 23-year-old, a jam shot to short. Quintanilla to first. Zach Wheeler is through 6 innings. And Miami does not have a hit. 2-0 Mets. And the Marlins
The Mets have a 2-0 lead. The Marlins do not have a hit. And Zach Wheeler right now winning the duel between he and Nathan Eovaldi, so much so that Eovaldi is out. And the Marlins have gone to their bullpen. And Wheeler will come up. He'll face lefty Dan Jennings.
Kind of interesting when you think about it, the number of pitches that Wheeler has thrown tonight. Just 66. He threw 95 pitches his last outing, a 6-inning game against Atlanta. His start before that, in 4 1/3 innings, he threw 106. So much better command Zach Wheeler has had tonight, certainly. Dan Jennings gets the ball here for the 7th inning.
Wheeler 0 for 2 tonight. The big hit, the Juan Lagares 2-run triple. Jennings, the Nebraska Cornhusker. And his breaking ball is swung on and missed. He gets Wheeler, who has more important things to think about at this point in time. Eric Young has walked twice. He comes up. Murphy behind him.
Might not have had everything into that at bat against a tough lefty.
The Mets franchise, as far as no-hitters go and one-hitters go, a lot of one-hitters, and finally a no-hitter last year. They've gone their entire existence without a no-hitter. Now San Diego is the only franchise without a no-hitter in their history. Jennings at the knees to the switch-hitting Young. Young steps out of the way of that one.
That was always a great topic of conversation with all the tremendous pitching the Mets had over the years. That it took until Johan Santana threw his no-hitter, and which in hindsight, a little controversial with the number of pitches he threw.
Chopper to third. Lucas crossed the diamond in time to get Young.
Probably not a lot of guys talking to Wheeler right now.
It's going to happen that one day Jose Fernandez is going to get into the 7th or the 8th inning of a game and not have given up a hit. And there's no way that he's going to be sitting in solitude, because
he'll be talking to everybody on the bench.
Absolutely. He'll disarm everyone from worrying about talking to him.
Boy, some good stuff in this inning here from Dan Jennings.
And the amazing thing about finally getting a no-hitter, the Mets had 37 one-hitters. You would think that out of 37 times at least there would be a liner or a diving catch to seal it. As Murphy bangs one into center. David Wright now doubled in the 4th, 1 for 3. Mathis on his way out to talk to Jennings. Marlins bullpen is in action. Mathis may be out to buy some time, because you got Wright and Bird, a pair of right-handers. Stephen Ames is out there, and here comes Mike Redmond.
Well, we saw Ames warming up earlier, so it's not going to require too many to get ready.
And this will be his major league debut. And for Mike Redmond, it's got to be a little special. Ames is a Gonzaga Bulldog. And so is Mike Redmond. Here comes Ames in a 2-0 game. Our Metro PCS call to the bullpen. With the Los Angeles Dodgers, Ames, a right-hander out of Vancouver, Washington, and a product, as we noted, of Gonzaga, the same alma mater as Mike Redmond.
25-year-old, you watch him warm up. Good fastball, sinking fastball, and slider. Got a little hurt, a little jerk in his delivery. And you know what? Coming into this year, his minor league numbers impressive. His minor league ERA coming into this year was under 2.
He appeared in 5 games in New Orleans, didn't give up a run. He has never started a game in his professional career. He was a starter in college. The Dodgers immediately put him in the bullpen, and he's thrived there coming up the Dodgers organization. David Wright has doubled in 3 trips, and Ames throws a strike. So exciting for this young man. Vancouver, Washington is just across the Columbia River north of Portland, Oregon. Daniel Murphy's at first. 2 outs, and Ames goes to first. Ames was pitching in Albuquerque, made 30 relief appearances, was 2-2, an ERA of 3.67. But as Tommy pointed out, you pitch half your games in Albuquerque. If your ERA is in the 3s, you're having a good year. Because Tommy was a hitter in Albuquerque. That one driven to right center field. Marisnick is there. He calls and he makes the catch. And Stephen Ames, major league debut, a success. He gets David Wright. run, and they don't have a hit. And Zach Wheeler has been outstanding for the Mets, and he goes into the 7th. He gets the heart of the order for the Fish: Giancarlo Stanton, Logan Morrison, and Ed Lucas.
Well, this is a big test, and his first assignment, a guy who's been on fire. We talked about it at the beginning of the game. And also Stanton with an 8-game home streak. Hit over 480 his last 8 games at home.
Wheeler busted his bat in the first in a ground out and then walked him the next time up. Joe West calls strike 1. Breaking ball, Stanton fouls it back.
Had a good rip, though, was on it.
0-2. This is just Wheeler's 8th start here with the Mets, and a fastball is up and in.
Yeah, we mentioned he had 13 starts pitching in Las Vegas, 4-2 with an ERA under 4.
Stanton holds up on a 96-mile-an-hour heater. Wheeler had a historic debut, the 31st pitcher since 1960 to not allow a run and strike out at least 7 in his major league debut. Pulls that breaking ball foul. Matt Harvey did that as well. He struck out 11 in 5 1/3 shutout innings in his debut. And the last 3 guys to do that, of the 31 that have done it, are all Mets. Colin McHugh. Did he go? Joe West says yes. And Wheeler gets a big strikeout of Stanton here in the 7th inning.
Coming up now, Rich, is Logan Morrison. Logan Morrison, as you see, Stanton not able to hold back. Lomo's probably hit the hardest, best ball tonight in the Marlins lineup. He drove that ball to deep left center. That was tracked down by Juan Lagares right at the base of the auxiliary scoreboard out there.
So 0 for 2 is Morrison. Wheeler up and in. The ball strike ratio has been great from the start. 20 of his first 24 pitches were strikes. 73 pitches, 53 strikes right now. The fastball up at 96 miles an hour. One no-hitter in Mets history was Johan Santana last year. 37 one-hitters.
And as many young pitchers, Rich, Zach Wheeler last year, pitching in AA and AAA, had just 2 complete games.
Well, I was saying last inning that for all those 37 one-hitters, you would think there'd be a great catch or a line drive at someone that would have allowed the Mets to have a no-hitter. It took, remember, that crashing catch by Mike Baxter and that controversial call down the third baseline for Santana to get the no-hitter. But, Tommy, you've seen the Marlin no-hitters. You got to have a play or two like that in a ballgame,
It
don't
seems
you?
like in every no-hitter, there is always a great play, if not a couple of great plays.
And that's the odd thing about this, is the Mets really haven't had to make a spectacular play. 1 out, full count. Here in the 7th, Morrison, the 3-2. It goes all the way to the screen. Morrison walks. 3rd walk by Wheeler.
And they had a couple of nice plays by Quintanilla on ground balls. They had that a deep fly ball to left center, the play by Lagares.
And Lucas now. Lucas has struck out and bounced to first.
0-1.
A lot of times, too, Rich, in a no-hitter, if it's broken up, and I'm sure you could go back to all those one-hitters in Mets history, a lot of times it's broken up by a number 8 hitter, pinch hitter, maybe somebody that's not a star, like an Ed Lucas.
In the right field, that's a base hit. And the Marlins have their first hit. Wheeler goes 6 1/3 of no-hit ball. Marlin fans, and I think Met fans right now as well, giving Wheeler a nice round of applause.
Now it actually becomes very interesting, because just like that, with the Marlins and Ed Lucas breaking up the no-hitter, all of a sudden you have the tying runs on base and the potential go-ahead run at the plate.
Donovan Solano. You got Jake Marisnick on deck. Morrison at second. Lucas at first.
See, we had a tweet earlier. I was holding on to it from Louie. He said the Fish will not be no hit on a Twitter Tuesday. It's against Fox Sports rules. Who didn't get the memo?
Ed Lucas. Solano, a couple ground ball outs to the left side. One to short, one to third. And a liner over the head of right. Morrison around third. Up with the ball is Young. Heading for third. The throw goes to second. Marlins have a run. Solano delivers. Good heads-up base running by Ed Lucas, who took third. He was going for it right away. Young's throw was to second. And so the no-hitter is gone. The shutout is gone.
So if you're in the dugout right now, you're the Marlins, you say, okay, let's take the lead away from him. Everything else has been lost. A little slider that just backed up, didn't break a whole lot for Wheeler. He's had a sharp one all night. And terrific base running by Ed Lucas, going first to third. And you can do that in bigger ballparks on a base hit to left field. We see it done in Denver, and we saw it by Lucas here tonight.
Now the rookie, Jake Marisnick, to face the rookie, Zach Wheeler. Marisnick muscles it into center field, a base hit, and the game is tied.
Wow, things can change fast.
And it's 2-2.
As we've seen since Marisnick has arrived, pitchers try to pound him in. Well, he's made a little adjustment. He still got jammed a little bit, but he's strong. And he got that ball just over the head of Quintanilla.
Mathis coming up. Marisnick delivers. First Major League RBI is an important one. It ties the game here at 2-2.
Well, we talked about it last night. The nice at-bats that Marisnick had a couple of base hits, drew a walk in a key situation, and as fast as everything has happened, that's how fast the bullpen's starting to get ready for the Mets.
Now Mathis, pitcher spot on deck, and that's Greg Dobbs. And right now is going to occupy that spot. For now, it's Mathis and Wheeler. And Wheeler has won this battle twice, striking out the Marlins catcher.
This is where a pitcher, any pitcher, young pitcher, experienced pitcher, after seeing his no-hitter go by the way, where he has to really regroup out there, and just like that, the Marlins have put together 3 straight hits.
Oh, 0-2. There's Dobbs.
who had a pinch hit in last night's ball game. Mets have a lefty ready. Bottom of the 7th, 1 out. Zach Wheeler has lost his no-hitter and the lead. Mathis fouls it back. Chad Qualls in Miami's bullpen. Another 0-2. Bouncer up the middle. Quintanilla got 1, got 2. And Wheeler gets out of the inning. Miami gets their first hit and their first runs. Jake Marisnick's first big league RBI ties the game at 2. In the 7th.
Well, big base hit for the Mets came in the 4th inning. It was a double by Juan Lagares. It drove in 2 runs. John Buck the second run. That put the Mets up 2-0. In the meantime, Wheeler just was working on a no-hitter. He was spectacular. Got a nice defensive play from the center fielder Lagares. But in the 7th inning, after a strikeout, then a walk, then a base hit by Ed Lucas into right field. Another base hit, an RBI single by Donovan Solano. The Marlins weren't through. Jake Marisnick muscles one into center, and just like that, 3 straight hits. It's a 2-2 tie. Wow.
And Miami turns it over to their next reliever. It was a Dan Jennings, Stephen Ames combo out of the bullpen, and now Chad Qualls joins that group. The difference in last night's ball game was the Mets bullpen was a run better than the Marlins bullpen.
You know, I'm talking to Mike Redmond after the game last night, too. He did what you would see a lot of managers do. He brought the left-hander in to flip Eric Young over to the right side, knowing that Murphy, a left-hander, was coming up next. And Red just said, you know what, the bullpen's been tremendous, and last night it just didn't work.
So Qualls gets Marlon Byrd, Ike Davis, John Buck, fastball, fly ball, center, Marisnick going back. It's deep. He's at the track. He reaches and he can't get it. Crashes against the wall. Byrd is in full flight on his way to third with a triple, and the Mets sitting in a pretty spot here in the 8th with a leadoff triple by Marlon Byrd.
With Marlon Byrd sitting on that first pitch fastball, he got the fastball, but it was up in the zone. Good effort by Marisnick. It was deep. He couldn't quite get there in time. And Qualls is going to have to do some pitching to keep the run that he's on, to keep it intact with this leadoff triple.
Infield in, Ike Davis is up. And Davis swings and misses. Well, you've got a guy that's susceptible to a strikeout in Davis, and another guy that has punched out a bunch in John Buck behind him. So there's a way out of this, but it won't be easy. That one pulled foul.
Close game, had a no-hitter for a while. We kind of stay away from the tweets and emails, but keep them coming.
Oh, 2. Well hit, but foul. Tommy's been on Twitter. I've been writing emails. We had a no-hitter email a while back, but it was about Marlon no-hitters. Mateo from Miami. Tommy, since you've been around for all 4, what do all the Marlon no-hitters have in common?
I actually was not here for Al Leiter's.
Oh, well then you're excused.
I've been around for all 3. The other 3.
But I'll pose the question to you. What do they all have in common? Davis takes down low.
Well, they really weren't. Kevin Brown, his no-hitter in San Francisco was just dominating. Anibal Sanchez was fun to watch. I don't know if I'd classify that dominating. And A.J. Burnett was just bizarre.
Well, Mateo points out all were against National League West teams.
Okay.
Leiter against Colorado, Brown against San Francisco, Burnett against San Diego, and Sanchez
against Arizona.
That's
very good. See, I wasn't looking at it that way. I was looking at it stuff-wise, how the game was.
We've had a lot of international baseball questions and discussion. Big night for Brazil, with a pair of Brazilians facing each other in that White Sox-Cleveland game.
That was like the other night when the Dodgers faced off against the Reds, with Ryu pitching against Chu. It was a huge night in Korea.
Terry Collins has international experience. Managed in Japan, managed China in the World Baseball Classic. That one line foul. Speaking of Japan, Maribel, who sends us emails every now and then from Boca, wanted to thank us for the advice on things to do in Tokyo. Went to a Yomiuri Giants game, and the Yokohama Bay Stars had a great time. She got a Shinosuke Abe jersey. He's the terrific catcher for the Giants. He's the Buster Posey of Japanese baseball. And Tommy, by the way, saw Niger Morgan play for the Swallows, the Yakult Swallows.
Thanks for that update. I'll be sure to tune in.
Keep up the good work. Thanks, Maribel, for the email.
I can't picture his stuff getting along in Japan, though.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. It's down low. Well, I saw Vicente Padilla over there in an exhibition game. I couldn't see Vicente Padilla facing Niger Morgan without hitting him. That's kind of what Vicente Padilla does. Two.
This is a heck of an at-bat by Ike Davis. He's fouled off pitch after pitch after pitch. Next pitch will be number 10.
Yeah, the first pitch it falls through. Marlon Byrd Blasted for a triple. Infield still in. It's still 2-2. And he got him on that one. So Qualls has the first strikeout. Bird is still at third. Here comes Buck. Toyota Trend. Mets on the road. An even 500. Last time they had a winning road record was all the way back to 2008.
That's amazing.
Last year the Mets were 74-88. They were 77-85 back in 2011. And 08 was their last winning season. They won 89 games that year.
Yeah, they're just 21-30 this year at Citi Field. Only the Astros have a worse record at home.
Buck, right field line, and it's foul.
So the Mets, the worst record at home in the National League, hitting just .227 as a team at home.
Ross in Hollywood. I'm 11 years old, and I've been trying to get my questions on the air for 2 years. So
he's been trying since he was 9.
Since he was 9. Now I want to know who picks the questions that you guys read. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Buck, ground ball at third. Lucas has it, looks the runner back, gets the out at first. And Qualls is 2/3 of the way from stranding Bird at third base.
But he's got the hottest Met hitter coming up. Juan Lagares is 3 for 3 tonight. There's a nice pick by Ed Lucas. Takes a quick peek at Bird and then gets the out. There's the pick. There's the peek. Then the throw.
Well, Ross, to answer your question, the emails go through the production truck. The crack staff looks at them and sends them our way. Oftentimes we get many questions on the same subject, so we'll narrow it down to 1 or 2 on that. On Twitter, you know, it just comes in the Twitter feed. Tommy is on Twitter tonight, and I'm on emails, so Tommy just looks and picks and chooses.
That's about it. There's no exact science to it. Aaron wanted to know, obviously Aaron is a Met fan, how hard did you guys try to break up the no-hitter? I think you and I were really trying hard, weren't we?
No, I mean, we had that discussion, I want to say 3 weeks ago, about superstitions as announcers. And you follow the lead of the best that there is and the best that there ever will be. Vin Scully, when asked about calling a no-hitter and calling it a no-hitter in the 5th or the 6th or the 7th, and Scully has called so many no-hitters and perfect games. Scully's answer was, I've got nothing to do with what goes on the field. My responsibility is to let people know what's happening. And I think one of the things he pointed out, the 1-1 pitch is in. If someone, especially on television, were to tune into a game and see a 2-0 score, the Mets on top of the Marlins in like the 7th inning, and stay there for 3, 4, 5 minutes, and the announcers or the director not visually show it, or the announcers not note it, that something special was going on and then there were no hits in the game, that person could very easily turn to another game and miss the whole no-hitter. So if it's good enough for Vince Scully, it's good enough for us.
Having grown up in Los Angeles, listening to Vince Scully, I totally agree.
Lagares. Liner foul.
Along those same lines, Bill tweets, Tommy, you talked about the no-hitter while Wheeler was pitching. Would you have talked about it if Eovaldi was tossing?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because you have to let people know what's going on in the game. I know that baseball superstition is you don't talk about a no-hitter.
And that could be a superstition down on the field.
Sure. And at home, if you want to stay on the same spot on the couch, nursing the same beverage the whole night,
go for it.
Yeah. If you've got your cap on backwards and it hasn't, a hit hasn't happened, and you don't want to turn it around, go for it. Ligares, single, triple, single. Bird 90 feet away, 3-2. Ball's lost him.
Not a bad thing. He's had good swings all night. He's been a hot hitter. And by losing Ligares, you go after Quintanilla. And remember, because Terry Collins and the Mets have decided to go with a 6-man rotation to be careful with the innings for both Harvey and Wheeler, the Mets have just 4 men on the bench. So he doesn't have a whole lot of options to make a ton of moves.
Chuck Hernandez out to the mound. In a follow-up email, we were talking about which numbers are important for pitchers. Tommy likes inherited numbers, inherited runners scored for relievers. Gary in Boynton Beach points out that he feels the king of allowing inherited runs to score, at least in Marlins history, was Reniel Pinto.
Well, that was bad Pinto. Good Pinto was not on that list.
The problem is the Marlins signed bad Pinto, or acquired a little too much of bad Pinto instead of the good one. When he was good, you're right, he was very good. Quintanilla takes a strike. Omar Quintanilla 0 for 2. Flied out, bounced out, walked intentionally. Bird's been over there at third for a while. He led off the inning with a triple. Qualls then got Ike Davis, struck him out, got Buck to bounce out, but walked Ligares, who's at first.
Nice play on deck.
Justin Turner.
Yeah, he just kind of reached up with his bare hand and made the play.
Oh, 2 coming. Did he go? Yes! Qualls tumbles off the mound. Quintanilla strikes out. He stuck the landing and got the strikeout. Qualls is going to hear about that. But you know what? If that's what it takes to get out of a runner at third, nobody out spot, you go for it. Quintanilla.
As a big pitch, big comeback. There's the pump, the roll, and you're right. He's going to hear it from a lot of the guys in the dugout. It's a great recovery, though.
I know, almost like, hey, I meant to do that. But here's the reception from the dugout. And there's Qualls in between innings. And his teammates are already telling him that you're going to be number one on all the highlight shows tomorrow
That's
morning.
right.
Now the trainer, Sean Cunningham, one of the Marlins trainers, I think is legally bound to come over and make sure he's okay after a fall like that. But what an escape by Qualls. Bird had the leadoff triple in a 2-2 game. A pair of strikeouts for Qualls. And Greg Dobbs will pinch hit. LaTroy Hawkins is in. And Dobbs fouls it back to the screen. We saw Hawkins last night go a scoreless inning in relief. Dobbs hitting here.
We saw Dobbs get a pinch hit single last night, too.
In the bottom of the 8th. Flips it to left. Eric Young makes the catch. Marlins and Mets 2-2 here. Let's go to Los Angeles for a Fox Sports 1 game break. Thank you, Molly. The Tigers have chewed up a couple of National League East teams of late. They hammered the Phillies, and tonight they beat the Nationals. 2 National League East teams here. Jose Fernandez ducking out of the way of that line drive. Balls can't escape the spotlight right now. That one almost got him as well. Christian Yelich for the Fish. Danny Echeverria to follow. There's 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. In a 2-2 ball game. Hawkins knocks it down, picks it up. And kind of shot puts it to first base. Game 3 tomorrow night. Here's the pitching matchup. It's brought to you by Chevron. Our friend, the little red car, always brings by the starters, Henry Mejia and Henderson Alvarez. The matchup tomorrow night. He has pitched well in his 1 start. Alvarez has pitched very well his last 2 starts. There was a day when a little car would bring relievers in from bullpens in a variety of ballparks.
Sometimes the tops, the roofs of the car would be the helmet with the team logo.
One of the great scenes in was it Major League? Tom Berenson, the catcher, the veteran catcher, follows his girlfriend home in the bullpen car.
In the bullpen car.
In his cleats.
In full uni.
Yes, ex-girlfriend at that point.
The love story was just about to take place.
Echeverria with a count 0-2. Boy, Hawkins looked sharp last night. He looks sharp tonight. Maybe he ought to rethink this whole retirement thing with an ERA in the low 3s.
Well, he's younger than Mariano Rivera. LaTroy Hawkins, 40.
Echeverria, liner center field. Dropped around first. Echeverria will stop there. Ligara's trying to make a shoe top catch, and it ended up on his shoe tops. It's going to go as a base hit for Echeverria.
Yeah, sinking line drive. Yes, it was catchable, but a very difficult play. just off the tip of his glove. He makes a nice recovery because Echeverria took a real nice turn. Could have gone up a little quicker until those last few steps. I still don't think he would have made it, but Lagares made a good recovery and got the ball back in quickly.
Giancarlo Stanton now. So Hawkins faces Stanton. 0 for 2. Echeverria from first. Hawkins is a big guy, and it takes him a while to get to home plate. Echeverria has stolen 8 bases this year, though he's been caught 7 times.
Well, and the last thing you want to do is leave Stanton at the plate and make the final out at second.
Or even open up first base for that matter. Even though it would put the go-ahead run in scoring position.
That base hit, Rich, by the way, for Echeverria, snaps an 0 for 17.
Phillies are winning tonight. They're beating the Giants 6-3. That Tiger National game is now in the 9th, 5-1 Detroit. Bangs off of John Buck. Marlins have the Cleveland Indians coming in. And
it's a fun team. That'll be a fun team to watch.
It's a weekend series starting on Friday night. The White Sox are beating Cleveland 4-3. Cleveland right now 57 and 48 and improving.
Always look forward to seeing Terry Francona, first-year manager of the Indians.
One and 2. Nick Swisher. We talked about Giambi on that team. Michael Bourne.
Jason Kipnis, solid second base.
Jason Kipnis is a good player. He hits the ball hard. One, 2 from Hawkins. And busts his bat. Hawkins gets out of the way of the bat and gets the ball and pitches a scoreless bottom of the 8th to the 9th. Miami and the Mets. Scoreless. Tonight, flirting with a no-hitter. Mets got that no-hitter, their first one in franchise history. That was the Baxter catch. That was the Beltran liner that was called foul. The mark said fair. Mike Matheny came out to argue. Big sigh of relief. Then Santana went and made history.
Got the final out with a patented changeup. 134th pitch was that changeup.
Marlins broke up Wheeler's no-hit bid. In the 7th, Ed Lucas punching a single to right. And Miami would add 2 more hits after that. Donovan Solano and Jake Marisnick with RBI hits. And that has tied the game. And Steve Cishek tries to come in and keep it tied and give the Marlins a chance to walk off in the 9th. Justin Turner. Off of Terry Collins' bench. Wheeler on the night, 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Nathan Eovaldi gutted out 6 innings. Turner pops it. Echeverria is back, and he makes the catch. National League Player of the Week. There were 2 of them, and they were both Marlins. Co-Players of the Week. Jose Fernandez gets a pair of wins, punches out 21, and Steve Cishek, 5 saves, 5 innings, 5 strikeouts.
The tough poll question tonight.
Fernandez right now 60-40. Well, he did pitch more innings, but Cishek made more appearances. Eric Young takes down low. We told you earlier that the Pittsburgh Pirates have taken over first place in the Central with a walk-off in the first game of a doubleheader. Alex Presley had the game-winning hit, 2-1. Pirates now a half game better than the Cardinals and 3 innings better than the Cardinals in the second game. Pittsburgh has a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the 3rd.
Just thinking about that week of Players of the Week. The 2 wins that Jose got were saved by Steve Cishek.
One hopper, Echeverria down to get it and throws him out. Thing of beauty. Danny Echeverria. Outstanding stuff from Miami's young shortstop.
Oh, and he knew he had to pop up and fire with Young the runner. There's the pick. Then he got something on it to just get Eric Young Jr. Look at the balance, the grace. Wow.
Murphy now 1 for 4. Cishek bends in a strike. Braves continue to beat the Rockies 8-3 in Atlanta. You saw the McCann home run on our Fox Sports 1 game break earlier in the ball game. Freddie Freeman has also homered. Evan Gattis has driven in 2. Atlanta getting a solid start from lefty Alex Wood. Cishek strikes out Murphy. A 1-2-3 9th for Steve Cishek. Marlins and Mets go to the bottom of the 9th. Logan Morrison leads it off in a 2-2 game. Marlins and Mets. MLB.com at-bat, the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At-bat delivers Marlins baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text at-bat to 31826 or go to marlins.com for details.
Well, Scott Atchison comes on. Good sinking fastball, so he didn't give up many home runs. He's only allowed 1 this year.
Morrison takes outside. 7 innings of Zach Wheeler. LaTroy Hawkins handled the 8th. Atchison working here for Logan Morrison. Morrison hit a blast to left center that was caught at the wall by Juan Lagares. It was Morrison's walk that started the 2-run 7th. And Atchison has gone 3-0 to Morrison here. There's a strike.
Maybe. Well, you know, Atchison's going to try to stay away with that 2-seamer. He will cut it. He throws a cutter.
That's down low. Morrison walks. Marlins have the winning run at first. Let's go to Los Angeles for another Fox Sports 1 game break. Molly, thank you. Here, game's on the line in the bottom of the 9th. Ed Lucas at the plate. Logan Morrison at first. Lucas squares, bunts, first base side. Davis is going to go to second. Got an out there. Lucas's bunt a little too hard. Davis was on it and made a strong throw to get Logan Morrison.
Now, there's some first baseman you can get away with that, but not Ike Davis. He's pretty good over there. Does a nice job. A little bit too hard. The intent was correct by Lucas, but Davis came off the bag, charged it well, and that was right there to make a perfect throw to the shortstop, Quintanilla.
Donovan Solano drove in Miami's first run of the night in the 7th. Solano fouls it out of play. Lucas now the runner at first. High popper. Quintanilla. 2 outs.
We talked about it last night. The games that these teams have played, the Marlins winning 8, losing 4. But extra innings galore. A 15-inning game, a 20-inning game, and a 10-inning game.
It is an email Twitter Tuesday, and as the game got tight, we've backed off on the tweets and the emails. One of them asked the question, Tommy, in your opinion, who would hit their initial Major League homer first? Christian Yelich, Jake Marisnick. Tommy went with Marisnick. So naturally, I'll take Yelich, just to even the ticket. Left field, it's deep, but not deep enough. Young is there, and he makes the catch. Extra innings, Mets and Marlins. Let's hope this one doesn't go 20. jerky. Feed your wild side. This is the 13th game between the Marlins and the Mets this year, and this is the 4th one that has gone extra innings. And, of course, the Marlins and the Mets played forever. 20 innings. At least it seemed like. Actually, we had a great time that night.
Yeah, we did. Well, these two teams, have played 18 extra innings so far this year? It's only fitting. Here we are, Rich, in the 10th.
David Wright facing Steve Cishek. All right, now that the game has calmed down a bit, we can get back into the emails and the tweets. I got an email from Alfredo. It just happens to be Alfredo Mesa.
I think I saw that.
Did you?
Yeah, it's even a little better news than you announced earlier.
Yeah, it is. Alfredo Mesa of the Marlins Foundation has announced that last night's fantasy auction raised $93,000. So a terrific job by everybody from Fox Sports Florida. Thank you to the folks at the Clevelander. And the biggest thanks of all goes to the fans last night who participated. Fans that bid on items. Fans that purchased pledge packs. We sold 200 of those in about, 3 days? Thanks to Steve Cishek and Jose Fernandez for contributing baseballs to those pledge packs. So that's great news. $93,000, huh?
That's fantastic.
Minus your bar bill. Here's the 2-2. Liner into right field, and Stanton is there to pick it up.
I want you to know I kept the tab open in case we went extra innings tonight.
I know, and all Tommy had last night were frescas.
Hey, we got to get this one in. Ms. Mambo wants to make sure we add the Chad Qualls flip to the 10-run reel.
That's a great call.
Yeah, that has to be added.
We thank the Clevelander. They were a sponsor. Grant Thornton sponsored the mini board. It was the Grant Thornton mini board. You know, we need to thank David Wright for contributing an autographed bat. Matt Harvey, an autographed ball. The Mets were kind enough to contribute.
So let's see, we had 2 Met All-Stars to thank, the 2 National League Players of the Week to thank, in Jose Fernandez and Steve Cishek.
And I don't know if it's honor of extra innings, but the cricket is back.
Getting a lot of tweets on that. We have nothing to do with it.
Isn't there a company called Cricket, like a phone, either internet or a cell phone company?
Hey, I will say there's good news. One of the tweets from at 954 FPL saying, don't worry, it's not just you. The Cricket Sounds is on the SNY feed, too, the Mets broadcast with Gary Cohen and Ron Darling.
Here's the 1-1 pitch.
That's where you also have to be careful of David Wright. We know over the years the stolen bases have diminished a little bit, but he can run in certain times. He's 16 out of 19 this year in stolen bases. David Wright is a complete player.
Strike to Marlon Byrd. Byrd tripled back in the 8th. The key moment in this ball game. After Bird's triple, Chad Qualls struck out Ike Davis, got John Buck to bounce out. He walked Juan Lagares and then struck out Omar Quintanilla and made his triumphant march from the mound to the dugout, complete with pratfall. 2-2. Pulled foul. So the Mets telecast has crickets. We have crickets. See, to me, there's a sponsorship opportunity right there, whether it's an exterminator. There's got to be, get a gecko or something that eats crickets. My daughter's pet turtles love crickets.
How does a turtle catch a cricket, though?
Well, to be blunt, it's you go to the pet store and you buy a bag full of crickets and you just dump them into the turtle aquarium, and it's like an hour feeding frenzy. I mean, the carnage is not for the faint of heart. For the turtles, that's their favorite day of the week, though, Tommy. Line to right and out of play. Two and two. Wright's at first. Ike Davis due up next. Cishek into his second inning. Drive to right. Stanton comes in and he dives and he can't get it. It's off his glove. The Mets have runners at first and second.
We give a lot of credit to Marlon Byrd. He had a tremendous at bat against Cishek. Battled a lot of pitches, fouled off a lot of pitches. Just is able to get this one out of the reach of Stanton, who recovers. And this is a great lesson for young outfielders. All you have to do, recover. You don't have to throw it all the way to third base. Just recover and get it back into the infield. And Stanton did that, got it to Solano as quickly as possible.
There's your Fox tracks. One thing when you have your closer come in a game like this is Davis is up. The breaking ball from Cishek. As a manager or a pitching coach, you don't like to see your closer throw 30, 35 pitches in a game because you might lose him the next night.
Well, he had such a good inning in the ninth, a very quick 1-2-3 inning. But lots of pitches here in the 10th. And right now the Marlins bullpen is quiet.
Two-0. Foul back.
Met fans may be wondering why Ike Davis is not bunting. Well, he does not have a career sacrifice bunt. But he does not run well. If he hits a ball that's on the ground at an infielder, the Marlins have a chance to turn two.
Cishek misses away. And you can see his pitch count already is at 25. He went 1-2-3 in the ninth, but here in the 10th, he's given up a couple hits early. Marlins bullpen. There's a few guys stretching. And Cishek misses. Bags are loaded, and there's nobody out. And Hernandez goes out. Redmond to the phone. Someone's going to get loose in a hurry. That's the workload. Did not pitch last night, but a night like tonight where he goes multiple innings. Marlins are back in that spot where Chad Qualls was with the go-ahead run 90 feet away. The difference here is the bags are loaded. Qualls just had a runner at third and nobody out.
And I think here, Rich, he's a victim of his own effectiveness. Had he not had such an easy, quick ninth inning, that probably would have been the only inning he worked. But because it was such a quick inning, he's back out here in the 10th.
John Buck. A met at every base. The infield's in. Buck, a liner into center field. That's a base hit. And the Mets have David Wright scoring. And Marlon Byrd coming home. He scores. Well, Buck was denied with a runner at third and one out in the eighth, but not here in the 10th. A big hit for the former Marlin.
Well, and he knows Steve Cishek as well as anybody. Sitting on a first pitch fastball, bases loaded situation. He had a pretty good idea he was going to get that. Of course, you have to make a good swing when you get that pitch, and he did.
Well, a pair of hits. David Wright, Marlon Byrd. The walk to Davis. Buck has singled. Cishek has not retired a hitter here in the 10th.
Well, Lagares had the big hit for the Mets in the 4th. John Buck, the big hit for the Mets here in the 10th.
Bunt. Lucas has to go to first. And the Mets execute on the bunt play. Lagares sets up Quintanilla.
Well, job well done. Gets high fives in the dugout.
Quintanilla 0 for 3, and a guy that can handle the bat. You have to be aware of that. Redmond on the second step of the dugout. Ryan Webb is in the bullpen, and he's ready. Redmond looks like he's poised to come out. Now he steps back. Now the Mathis has returned behind the plate. Well, they're going to walk Quintanilla. Josh Satin is on deck. And I guess the decision that Mike Redmond will have to make here is, does he think that Steve Cishek is better equipped to get a ground ball, or Ryan Webb from Josh Satin with one out and the bags are going to be loaded?
He may just be letting Cishek issue the intentional walk and then go to the bullpen to bring in Webb. We'll see.
Bags are loaded. Redmond watching from the dugout. Satin is announced. And it looks like it's going to be Cishek who will face him. Middle infield's back for 2. Corners are even.
I think at this point you just make the decision that you're not going to use Cishek tomorrow night. Maybe even Thursday.
Satin appeared last night as a pinch hitter. Was 0 for 1. Little tapper. This is trouble. Lucas, bare hands, goes to the plate and gets the out. Wow. On both ends. It's a tough pickup. And for Jeff Mathis, he had to turn into a first baseman. That's not easy with gear on and a catcher's glove on.
Yeah, you don't have that big first baseman's mitt. And watch this, bare hand. Watch the stretch of Mathis. He reaches out, and you're right, exactly the way a first baseman would do it. But it took a nice throw for him to do that. Foot on the plate, Force out at home. Nicely done on both ends.
So it's a fielder's choice. Cishek has the second out. And here's Young. 4-2 Mets. Young has walked twice. Ball and a strike. The Mets here in the 10th have scored 2. There's 3 more waiting. Ground ball short. Echeverria on the first in time to get the out, but the Mets have pushed across 2 runs, and the Marlins need at least 2. They want to keep playing. Gulfstream Park. Summer racing at Gulfstream is going on now. And by Smurfs 2 in theaters tomorrow. All those unanswered questions you had from the first Smurfs movie, Tommy, tomorrow you'll get the answers. Smurfs 2. Yes. Mets 4, Marlins 2. And the Marlins saw Bobby Parnell last night, and it wasn't pretty. Parnell was throwing hard, and he came in and shut the door, picked up his 21st save. Marlins need a couple. Mathis to lead it off. And Parnell misses in. Now, it wasn't a clean 9th inning for Parnell. He gave up a hit to Greg Dobbs in the 9th. Juan Pierre came out and stole a base. He also walked Christian Yelich. He did face Jeff Mathis to open the inning, and he struck him out looking. Justin Ruggiano is on deck. pop-up. Buck for a look, and it's out of play.
Well, all you try to do here is just get the man on base, get the tying run to the plate. So Mathis trying to do that.
So 13th meeting between the two teams this year, 4th extra inning game. Marlins have won 8 of the 12 meetings, but the Mets are 3 outs away from taking the first 2 of this 4-game series. Mathis, a little tapper, third base line, right, and let it hook foul.
You know, Wright playing back realized that he had no play if he charged that ball to try to make the play, so let it go foul.
Veteran move. Greg Minervini, Jeff Conine from center field. It's after the game. Marlins Live presented by Checkers.
Mets bullpen these first couple of games has been terrific. To this point, 5 2/3 innings. They've given up just 3 hits, no runs.
Mathis shoots a ground ball. Murphy sprawls and makes the play.
You know, every time you hear that Daniel Murphy might have his deficiencies defensively at second, he seems to come up with some nice plays, and he has against the Marlins. That was a terrific play.
Justin Ruggiano now. Playing time scarce for Ruggiano with the arrivals of Christian Yelich and Jake Marisnick, and of course Ruggiano still trying to break that long 0 for 32 right now. And Parnell misses down low at 94 miles an hour.
And with the arrival of Jake Marisnick, the bats have come far and few between. So it's even tougher to come out of that long 0 for.
He's 1 shy of the all-time Marlins record. Mike Jacobs, an 0 for 33 skid.
There were some big swings in that 0 for 33, though.
Ruggiano, right, spears it, spins. And when you're 0 for the last 32, you hit a ball in the hole, Wright will make a play like that.
Make a play just like that. But you know what? David Wright's made a lot of plays just like that.
Yes, he has. The Marlins' last shot here is Christian Yelich. So for the second night in a row, the Mets have Bobby Parnell on the mound with a chance to save the game. And this 10th inning is going a lot better than his 9th inning last night. He did save it last night. Marlins ended the night with a couple runners on. That was a 1-run win. The Mets have a 2-run lead here. Two and 0. While we have time, we'll slide in at least one more email. Bernice wants to know a question that was just answered. Has Justin Ruggiano been banished from the lineup? If so, why? 0 for 33 and a couple rookies up. Player comes up from the minors. Do they get a pay raise? Well, that works with Yelich. Yes, they do. That one is fouled back. Minor league players, some are on split contracts, which is kind of a half major league, half minor league contract. Others are just making a minor league pay scale. I don't know what a AAA player makes these days. I would guess it's 40.
It varies from experience, young AAA player compared to a guy who's been there for 3-4 years.
Well, anyways, major league minimum is above $400,000 now.
Yeah, it's close to 5.
So it's calculated based on what, a 180-day calendar? So you divide that up into 500,000, and that's how you get paid for a guy like Yelich who comes up from the minors. So every day in the majors is a good day. Yelich walks, and that brings the tying run to the plate.
And you know what? When you've worked your whole life to get here, every day in the majors is a good day.
Ask Ed Lucas that.
And that's going to help Ed Lucas pay off some of those student loans.
I think if Lucas is here the rest of the year, and there's every indication that he will be, I think he can say goodbye to those student loans. Got him through Dartmouth. Echeverria fouls it off.
They see the big guy on deck. Giancarlo made the last out last night. He'd love to get an opportunity to face Parnell again.
Misses away, and it's 1-1. And Stanton went after that first pitch, bounced it to second. Echeverria, a little chopper. Quintanilla races in, gloves it, throws, and just gets the out at first. And the Mets take game 2 just like they took game 1 with Bobby Parnell closing. A big hit for John Buck, and the Mets win it in extra innings. 4-2 the final. 9 hits for the Mets. Zach Wheeler flirted with a no-hitter. He went 7. The Mets win it 4-2.